Okay. Just talking about information and how we can surface it, and how decision markets use it, and prediction markets use it. I think it's very interesting what you are doing with Litecoin, and how and what multiverse markets are, or multiverse protocols, multiverse finance. I'm not sure exactly how how we would frame it. Um, so I just want to give you the space to kind of explain what exactly Litecoin is, and how it improves on something like Polymarket, and or how it sort of maybe competes or makes it whole, or how does it give us the whole picture when it comes to the future. So yeah, you just go ahead and explain it to the audience, because I don't think everybody knows.
Yeah, for sure. I would say two things. What I call impact markets. First of all, greatly inspired by two things. One, decision markets. So many thanks to MetaDAO for that. And the two is the Dave White piece called Multiverse Finance, which is why you said the word multiverse. I don't actually use these words anymore. I only use them very shortly. I will also say that piece doesn't really illustrate the product idea of Litecoin. I actually talked to Dave White some months after that and told him the idea of Litecoin, and he found it new. So his piece is awesome, and it certainly dropped the penny for me, but I wouldn't say the product is directly correlates to that piece. But anyway, I stopped calling it multiverse. I call it impact markets. For the first 2 months or so, before I came up with the name impact markets, it was actually much, much harder to explain to people the idea and get them to care about it. It's kind of this, multiverse trading condition. I called it also conditional asset trading, which is a more accurate term, but people aren't able to slide that puzzle piece into a convenient place in the brain, right? They don't know where to slide it in, what memory hole. And once I started calling it impact markets, people start going, well, okay, impact markets, that sounds kind of familiar, and that sounds pretty similar to prediction markets. So it's probably an iteration of prediction markets, right? And this is where I want them to be. It's actually pretty funny. The moment I started calling it impact markets, it was much easier to get people excited about it, and people started writing about us in prediction markets pieces, etc., kind of side by side with talking about poly markets. So that was perhaps my greatest achievement to date. I always say is the coming up with this name. But yeah, what Litecoin is essentially, if I come at it from the angle of MetaDAO and Futurity, it is essentially implicit decision markets or permissionless decision markets. What do I mean? Well, if you unpack decision markets, they essentially take an asset and they split that asset into two outcomes, right? One alternative version of the asset that assumes outcome A happens, and one alternative version of the asset that assumes outcome B happens. You let people trade both of those versions for, let's say, a week, and then you are able to buy the prices that the market is willing to pay for them. You're able to assert, okay, well, if outcome A happens, then this is what the company is worth, what the token is worth, and if outcome B happens, this is what the token is worth, right? But with decision markets, there's a big constraint. Because we are explicitly committing to making a decision based on the decision market, that means that the question at hand has to be something we entirely control. So raising capital, firing profit, God no. But things in our control. And then also the asset that is correlated to the company that we control, right? So if we wanted to do a fire Elon Musk market, we have to get, if MetaDAO wanted to do that, they would have to get the approval of Tesla. So what this essentially creates is it's a very small subset of the available questions in the world, right? It can only be questions we control. And B, it is only a very small subset of the assets. Again, There's only been decision markets so far for tokens that have explicitly agreed to make a decision for via the decision market. So it's essentially almost a B2B business. It's really hard to scale. So what Lightcone is based on is the realization that you can take the exact same mechanism where you split an asset into two different outcomes, universes, whatever you want to call it, two different versions. But instead of a governance question, you take any event, and instead of a governance token or a company token, you can take any asset in the world, right? So you can do stuff like, well, we really care about and we're really interested in what happens to oil if the war in Iran restarts, what happens to Bitcoin if the Republicans sweep the House or if the Democrats sweep the House, what happens to the market if what happens to Sol if the Clarity, or maybe even to Circle if the Clarity bill passes or if it doesn't pass, right? All these questions, and no longer we have to get approval for these companies or these assets, or we don't have to control the event. It just becomes an information primitive, and it becomes a speculative primitive. So people can trade based on what they think oil is worth if the war in Iran restarts. And it's a new way of speculating. It's based on their impact expectation, and no decision is based on it, not explicitly based. The information that surfaces, just like from Polymarket, it may very well end up in the hands of the White House and may very well end up influencing their decision, but it doesn't have to, right? So now it's a much, I would say, bigger TAM as a trading product, at least, as the volume, in terms of the volume that you can run through it, I would argue is a much bigger TAM. And yeah, that's that in a nutshell.